Molly, and welcome to Purpose, where we are going through the Bible, reading the stories so that we can know how to live our own lives, so that we can know how to love God and love each other, which, as we've talked about a zillion times before, is our only purpose on this earth. But we don't think that. We might know it like in our heads, but we don't feel it in our heart. At least I don't. I spend way too little time throughout the day thinking about God and thinking about how I can build my relationship up with Him and with other people. Instead, most of my time is spent thinking about work. And I think the camera's angled a little weird. Sorry about that. It's thinking about work. It's thinking about my family. It's thinking about what am I gonna make for supper that night. It's thinking about my extended family and holidays coming up. And then it's spent with just idle time, just wasted nothing time, like, I don't know, reading a book or watching TV or, stuff like that. But I don't spend a huge part of my day thinking about God and thinking about other people, which is my only reason to be on this planet. And I need to get a little more intentional about that. We need rules for ourselves, We need laws in life or there's going to be chaos. That's what the Hebrews were finding out. We left off on chapter 20. Verse 21, maybe. I think it was chapter 21, actually. Exodus chapter 21. So God's already told Moses the 10 Commandments. He hasn't written it in stone yet, but he told him about the 10 Commandments. Those are the big, overarching laws, But these people have been slaves for 400 years. They don't know how to live. So the big overarching law for us is love God and love each other. But we've been so far away from God as individuals and as a whole world that we just don't know how to do that. So we have lots of little laws, not even laws, lots of little practices like reading the Bible, going to church, surrounding ourselves with other people who are Christians, who believe in God and who believe in Jesus. And just thinking about throughout your day, being consciously aware of what we're saying to people or about people, and thinking about those people who maybe we don't like and we don't agree with, and how can we pray for them, and wish them well, stuff like that. So that's what the the Hebrews are trying to learn here. And God's given them some pretty basic laws. And this is where the Bible to me kind of gets boring. It starts off pretty strong until the 10 Commandments, and then it starts going downhill and it just gets kind of boring. And that's really hits when we run into Leviticus, which is really not an essential reading, it's a supplemental reading. But anywho, I digress. So God's telling Moses laws concerning slaves. Now, they're not talking about slaves like in the U.S. history. They're talking about more indentured servants. Somebody needs money to live. They need food, so they sell themselves to someone who has money and has food, and they say, look, I'll work for you for, whatever to get food and money for my family, and then that's what happens. So God put a time limit on that. They can't be your indentured servant forever. You got 7 years. 7 in the Bible is completion. It's like a covenant. It's a completion, an ending of something. Yeah. And so that 7 years, that's it. Your time's up. They'll work for you for 6 years, but on that 7th year, they're free. And if a man comes in single and then he gets married, his wife gets to leave when he does. Even if she's your slave, he gets to leave with him. And if you give him a wife while he's your indentured servant and she has some sons or daughters, the wife and her children are still going to belong to the master, but the man can go out if he wants. That doesn't seem right. And then it goes on. If the man decides, I want to stay with my wife and kids, then he's going to stay there forever. He's never going to leave. But it just means he's going to work for this guy forever. And then if a man sells his daughter as a slave, so you could sell your own kid back then as a slave to somebody to provide for your family. These are hard times. So God is just trying to give them basic little baby step rules to learn how to live without just killing each other all the time. Otherwise, you'd have somebody be your slave forever and you'd just be killing people whenever you don't like them. So it's baby steps. And he tells them, look, if she doesn't please her master, then he's got to let her go. He can't sell her to somebody else. And so he's given them all these little bitty rules about how to treat people, just like he gives us tiny rules. You know, pray. He's not saying spend your whole day in prayer, although we're supposed to, which just means thinking about God and doing everything for God, keeping him in our heart. He gives us little baby step rules to get to know him, but they're so hard to do. And then he talks about violence and harm, and basically he's just telling them it's what's in your heart. You know, if you kill somebody but it's an accident, well, you might be punished for it, but you're not going to be put to death. If you meant to kill them out of anger and hatred, well, then you can be put to death. If you steal from somebody out of greed and jealousy, you can be put to death. If your ox hurt somebody and you knew it was a dangerous ox and you just didn't care, you can get fined for that. So he's trying to give them rules that show them it's not always so much what you do or what you say, it's what's in your heart. Same with us. It's not so much what I do and what I say, it's what's in my heart. You know, I can say something that's kind of a southern compliment where you say, oh, bless your heart. And really you mean, yeah, up yours, buddy. I can say something that on the outside might seem nice, but in my heart, I'm not meaning it. And I can do something that may seem nice, but in my heart, I don't want to do it. And I'm building up anger and resentment towards that person. Or I can gossip about people, especially politicians today, but in my head, I'm justifying it, when in my heart, I just want to make them suffer a little bit. I just want to be mean to somebody, because for whatever reason, it seems like it's fun to be mean sometimes. And then he talks about just social rules, how to live together as a people and how to be together, you know. Don't have relations with animals. That's where that comes in here. Don't allow a sorceress to live. Somebody who's trying to convince people there is no God and they practice witchcraft or something. But mainly it's not so much about witchcraft. It's about you're trying to pull people from God and let them think that you know more than God. And that's not true. And then he talks about justice, you know, and how we have to share with each other and we can't lie to each other and we have to help our enemies. And he even tells you how to have your land, you know, if you're a farmer, sow your seed for 6 years and then let it rest for that 7th year, that year of completion. So you're not just out for the money, you're taking care of the land, this earth that God gave us. You're putting the land ahead of your own greed or need for money, because otherwise people would just completely abuse the land and not care about it. And God's telling them, no, I made this planet, I made this earth, take care of it and it'll take care of you. And then he says 3 times a year you're going to have a feast for me. That's it, just 3 times a year. These are little baby steps. He's not asking them to do much. And nobody can come to me empty-handed. Everybody needs to make a sacrifice of some kind. Doesn't have to be a huge sacrifice. And God allows for people who have more money, you got to sacrifice more. People who have less money, you can sacrifice less. That's how we knew Joseph and Mary didn't have a lot of money. When they presented Jesus in the temple after he was born, they took a pigeon as their offering. Only poor people offered pigeons. If you had money, you would have taken a lamb or a calf or something like that. So God's telling them, look, you just take these little baby steps and my angel will lead you to the land of Canaan. And then he's telling them, when you get to Canaan, You can't be making these relationships with the people who live there that are going to take you away from me because they don't believe in me. I want you to stick together and keep growing stronger in your relationship with me. He's telling them, you've got to, we're weak. We're going to take the easy way out. Surround yourself with people who believe in God and are trying to get closer to him, and you can help each other. Talk about it with each other. Tell each other when you fall down and when you do something good. It makes life a whole lot easier when you can talk about God with other people who love him. When you can't talk about God, you just feel so alone, and it's so much harder, you know? So he's telling them, I'm going to bless you. I'm going to bless your bread. I'm going to bless your water. And if you don't do this, things are going to get tough for you. And don't make any deals with the people who lived in the land of Canaan, because if you do, you're going to forget about me. If you're making deals with the people who live there, then you're not trusting me to take care of you. You're making a plan B. And oh man, is it so easy to make a plan B. It's tough to trust God because, you know, he lets bad things happen to us. It's much easier to make a plan B, and he's telling them, don't do that. Don't make any deals with people who are going to take you away from me. So think about that in the upcoming election if you happen to be watching this when it first comes out. It's between Trump and Harris, and it's a brutal one. Don't make deals with people if it's going to take you away from me. Whatever you do, pray on it and do whatever's going to bring you closer to me. And I'm not saying who anybody should vote for. I don't know. I'm just saying we need to pray on things and then do whatever it is we feel is right that'll bring us closer to God. It's what's in our heart. Even if I vote for the wrong person, if I'm doing it for God, then I'm going to be all right. So will you. So when we come back, Moses is going to go back up on the mountain, and he's going to talk to God, and God's going to give him the 10 Commandments written in stone, and we're going to see what happens with these people as they're hanging out at Mount Sinai. Are they growing closer to God? Are they not? I think the lesson for today is, though, God gives us little baby step rules. Nothing he tells us to do is huge, but it's so hard. It's hard to do. It's hard to pray. It's hard to hang out with him. It's hard to build a relationship with him. But if we just try a little bit more every day, if every day we keep getting up and we keep trying to get closer to God, then it's going to get easier and easier and easier. And God will help us more and more and more. And he'll send his angels to us to lead us along the way, just like he is with the Jewish people here. Well, I pray that you all have a blessed day and that God will bring you closer to him and just fill you with all of his wisdom. And we'll get together next time and find out what's going on with Moses and the Jewish people. Bye-bye, everybody.